Take-Two Interactive is going through a huge surge of games, including WWE 2K22 out in March. We're going to give you a little bit of the details of what they discussed regarding their quarterly results, their fiscal results, and giving you all the breakdown and news we have of the game coming out later next year. That episode for everybody is right now. Great to see you. Great to have you. Welcome back to Assemble. I'm Matt. Good to have you here on the show. We're excited to talk about 2K22 again. Take-Two Interactive was showing a strong fiscal results on the financial side for this past quarter, and they briefly touched on 2K22. We are still expecting the game to come out in March. We still have updates for you regarding how this thing is going to be panning out. If you guys are new to the show, do Matt a favor here and subscribe to the channel and help us get to that 5,000 mark. Let's get into the news. Coming from businesswire.com, they briefly mentioned WWE 2K22 and a little bit of just kind of a synopsis regarding the game's status and update. 2K and Visual Concepts revealed new details behind WWE 2K22, which is planned for launch in March of 2022. WWE 2K22 promises new controls, incredible graphics, and a redesigned engine for the most impressive WWE 2K experience to date. As part of the game's development process, 85% of the in-game roster has taken part in facial scanning for ultra-realistic and updated character models, and more than 3,400 new animations have been captured. The piece that I find interesting in here is 85% of the in-game roster has gone through their facial scanning, which is impressive, which is a really good thing, right? Because that means the vast majority of the stars, we are going to get them scanned in, get their likeness in there, and they should look pretty accurate. The issue I have though on the other side is that when we have looked at 2K's footage in the past, like their reveal trailer, when they show us a little bit of those snippets where you've got Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, and the like, they didn't look as well defined in their facial features, in my opinion. Drew McIntyre looked a little bit more washed out. Now, it could have been just an early concept design that they needed to push out there for us, but this has me positive and hopeful because we have 85% of the in-game's roster actually scanned. For that remaining percentage, who knows? It could be that because they had stars that could not be in the game because they had actually been removed. Thinking of guys like Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, all of them could have been scanned and ready into the game, obviously, but then pulled out, much like Bronson Reed and the whole NXT pack that we talked about in previous episodes. So there's a good chance that we also see potentially some new NXT faces that actually get into the game, maybe ones that couldn't make the mark for actually getting fully scanned in there. I do want to talk later on a future episode with all of you regarding the redesigned engine that 2K keeps talking about. We've seen this tweeted about, we've seen this in the reports for their financial earnings coming down the pipe. I wonder what it means from a redesigned engine and what that really breaks down to and looks like for all of us. It's not a new engine. They're not doing something from the ground up. They're still going off of what they've had in years past, but having a redesign, I really am curious how far that goes, what changes we'll see, what will be the actual standout pieces to that on top of the redesigned new control schemes that they're going to be going with. But let's talk about that in a future episode. Now, Take-Two also went through their full lineup of games that are going to be scheduled to launch from now all the way through to fiscal 2023. WWE 2K22 is obviously in that lineup, still slated for March, which is confirmed. And in that March lineup, what's interesting is having huge 2K titles like Grand Theft Auto, the whole expanded enhanced editions, the standalone versions. All of the Grand Theft Auto titles are coming out next year from this year into November, December, and into March of next year. So 2K WWE 2K22 is going to have its own heavy competition out there in terms of mindshare and player focus when we're getting all of the definitive editions of Grand Theft Auto coming down the pipe right at that time as well. We have GTA releasing around that time, and right after it, 2K has announced that in March, later in March, you're gonna have WWE 2K22. Because of the way they have lined this up, where you basically have Tina's Tiny Wonderland, as well as Grand Theft Auto 5, the online piece as well, all stated to come out in March. Tiny Tina's Wonderland is actually supposed to be March 25th, 2022. So I'm trying to figure out when we could expect WWE 2K22 to actually release. I doubt that 2K is going to want to actually release all of these games like right at the exact same time in the exact same week. But if the Wonderlands game is coming out on March 25th, GTA is slotted in for March with an unknown specific date for release, and WWE 2K22 doesn't have a specific date. I gotta imagine it's gonna be before the 25th of March. March 25th is actually a Friday. We could see 2K22 come out on the 22nd, which is a Tuesday for standard drops, or the prior Tuesday as well. The other thing I want to keep in mind is what could we expect from more of the deluxe editions, early access, things like that, play it 4 days early. Keep those things in mind too, everybody, because if we get this game launching on, say, March 22nd, a Tuesday, they could actually do an early release and have it come out on the Friday, the 18th for all of us, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm just wondering when it would line up between GTA, because they're going to want to give their games a little bit of time to breathe. The last piece of news here is that they still haven't said what consoles this game is going to release on. This drives me nuts. We're still waiting, guys. We still don't know. Every other game in this lineup from Take-Two has stated what consoles it's going to be available on. WWE 2K22 is the only game in their lineup that does not have it disclosed what consoles it's coming on. It still says to be announced. This is wild to me that we are still waiting to find out which consoles it's actually going to be on. Still to this day, they haven't released it. Even in their full financial report summary, it doesn't state when this game is going to come out, on which consoles it's going to come out on. And the last piece I don't want to pull from is from IGN, talking a little bit further regarding the full Take-Two report. And they have one little snippet in here that I want to discuss with all of you. We can see the very beginnings of this in Take-Two's current upcoming slate, which had NBA 2K22 out in September, WWE 2K22 set for March, and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands also in March. Further down in the article, it states the following. It's also a fairly safe bet to expect the company to keep bringing out NBA 2K and WWE 2K games on a fairly regular basis. And there's an NFL game in the works that's been delayed past March of 2022, though that may fall under the arcade banner. The reason why I wanted to cite this with all of you is because it's showing us, at least from IGN's perspective, that WWE 2K22 and beyond, Take-Two will be looking at having more WWE games going forward. And I bring this up because we had the conversations in the past regarding the game and how Take-Two is not happy with WWE and vice versa, the release dates being pushed out, all of that stuff, and that there's a lot of friction and strain on their relationship together, wondering, are they going to continue past the next game coming out? It does sound, based on this, that there's confidence that the game, like NBA 2K and that franchise, they would all keep going beyond into 2023. What do you guys think regarding the consoles that are going to be released on, the release time frame of when you see this game actually coming out, and your overall thoughts on a redesigned, rebuilt engine for WWE 2K22? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this episode, do Matt a favor and check out this one right here, because we have more coverage for you for all things WWE 2K22. Thank you so much for watching the show, and I'll see you on the next episode.